Hello everybody, this is OOP group number 7 and today we will be presenting our code. Starting off with Kaishen.
In this class, there are private instance fields. For example, private integer item number, private string name of product, private integer unit of stock, private double price of unit, private boolean product active true. Private means that this field can only be accessed inside the product class. Even the subclasses of product class don't inherit this variable. As you can see, the variable product active is be initialized with the value of true. This means that all the product object created will have a default product active value of true. Next, there are two product constructors, one with parameters and one with no parameters. The first product constructor with no parameters initialize a default value to the fields. This means that whenever a product object is created, its default number is 0. The default name is now, the default quantity is 0, and so on. The product constructor with parameters allows the product object to be initialized with value from the product tester class. Next is the setter and getters. For each variable, there is a setters and getter method. Setters update the variable of the variables, and getters allow the program to return certain value of the product object. After this is the toString method. This method gives the object a string representation, allowing the object to be printed like a normal string. As shown, we use the getters of each variable to return the value of each variable in this toString method. The ternary operator is used to retrieve the value of the product active variable. If it is true, active will be printed. If it is false, discontinued will be printed. The add to inventory and deduct from inventory method here enables the value of the variable unit in stock to be changed. It will be shown later on. The if-else statement in the add to inventory method also shows that the user will only be allowed to add stock if the product is active.
Okay. So here is the DVD subclass for the product main class. The DVD class is a subclass of the product class, and that's why we typed public class DVD extends product. It is a sibling of the CD class that we will see below. It does not inherit any methods of the CD class as they are siblings. The DVD class also has its own additional instance fields like the product class above. These variables will allow the user to put in the values and store the values. Next, we have the getter and setter methods for the DVD class. Here, the setter methods will set the values for each variable that has been declared, and following the getter methods, which will return the values set for the variables by the setter methods above. And then we have the toString method. This toString method will allow us to display all the information and all the variables that have been assigned the values above, and then the return method will allow us to see these printed out on screen. Then comes the CD subclass. The CD subclass, like the DVD subclass, is also a subclass of the product superclass. Over here, we also have initialized some variables and then followed by the constructor. In the constructor, we have set some parameters so that they can recognize each variables and their values. And then we have the setter and getter methods for the CD subclass as well. The setter methods will set the values for the variables, and then the getter methods will return the value for the methods that have been set. Like the DVD subclass, the CD subclass also has a toString method, which will allow us to see. The toString method here will allow us to see the information printed out, which will be done by the code at the very end, return CD. Okay, here we have the getNumProducts method. This method accepts the scanner object as a parameter. It initializes the maximum number of product objects in the product array by getting the user input. An if statement is there to ensure the user inputs a proper value and will reprompt the user if they put a value lesser than 0. The try catch block catches the input mismatch exception. If the user inputs a wrong data type, such as a string, the program will reprompt the user to input a proper value. The local variable max size is returned. And then we have the getProductNumber class. This class also accepts the product array and scanner object as parameters. The for loop is used to display all the product objects from the product array, and the user is prompted to choose a product. The user input is stored in the local variable product choice. The if statement tells the program that if the user inputs a value less than 0 or greater than the product array length, the product choice variable will be initialized back to -1, and the do-while statement will reprompt the user to input another value. The try-catch block is there in case the user inputs a wrong data type, such as a string, and the do-while statement will reprompt the user to input another value again. The local variable product choice is returned.
Is the add-to-inventory method. It accepts product array and scanner object as parameters. Here the user is prompt to input which type of product they want to add. The if statement states that if anything else other than 1 or 2 is typed, an error message will be printed. The try-catch block catches the input mismatch exception in case the user entered a wrong data type, such as a string or double. The do-while statement will reprompt the user to enter a value option. The if-else statement below will call a respective method based on the user input. Note that the SCD to inventory and activity to inventory method called here have counter in their parameter. This is to ensure that when the new product object is created, it will be placed in a new index position of the product array. Next is the addCD method. It takes products array, scanner object, and an integer I as parameters. The program will prompt the user to input value, and each value is assigned to a local variable. The method then creates a CD object through polymorphism based on the user input and place it in the index position integer I. This is the same for add DVD to inventory method, but a DVD object is created instead. Next, there is a get menu option that access scanner object as parameter. It prompts the user to choose an option they would like. The user input is stored in a variable called choice. The if statement is saying that if the user is input a value less than 1 or greater than 5, it will initialize the variable choice back to -1. And the do-while statement will prompt the user to input a proper value. The try-catch block is to catch incorrect data input. The variable choice is returned.
So now we'll talk about the execute menu choice, and this method accepts the integer choice, and there is a product array and a scanner object as parameter. This is used to execute a method based on what chosen in the get menu option method. A switch for choice is used to call different method respective to the choice that was made. Next is the display inventory. So in the display inventory, it takes a product array as parameter, then enhanced loop is used to print out each of the elements in the product array. Next is the add to inventory.
No, two. It's add inventory only. Just not correct.
Oh, sorry. The next one is the add inventory. So in the add inventory accepts a product array and scanner object as parameters. there are two local variables, which are product choice and update value, which has been initialized to -1. Product choice variable is initialized through the method called get product number. The user is then prompted to input the amount of stock they want to add, storing the user input in an update value variable. If the user amount of stock inputs a value lesser than 0, then they will be reprompted by the do while statement to enter another value. The try catch block is there in case the user inputs a different data type, like a string, and the do while statement reprompts the user to input another value. Then the amount of stock the particular product will be changed through get product choice add to inventory. This line of code calls the add to inventory from the product class to update the stock of a certain product. The next is deduct inventory. So the deduct inventory is the same as the add inventory method, except the program will deduct the amount of stock the user wants through product, and this will deduct from inventory. Thanks.
Next method is the Discontinued Inventory method. This method accepts product array and scanner object as parameters. It has a local variable product choice, which has the value returned from get product number method. The Discontinued Inventory method will make the product status false for a particular product. This is done through product choice.set active false. This line of code calls the setActive method from the product class to change the product status to false. Next is the exit program method. This method simply exits the program and stops the program from running. Finally, this is the main method. There's a scanner object in and two integer variables here. The max size variable is assigned with the value from getNumProducts method. The if statement states that if the max size variable is 0, it will print no products required. And the program stops there. Else, a new product array is created that will have max size amount of elements in it. There's a local instance field called counter. The for loop here uses the counter and calls the add to inventory method. This counter variable also appeared in the previous method calls in the add to inventory method. After all the products have been added, a do while statement calls the get menu option method and stores its value in the local variable menu choice. And the execute menu choice method is called with the menu choice in its parameter. Now let's see how the program runs.
So basically now we'll show the output of the program. So let's first input the number of products we'd like to add. Let's take 1. And let's choose our product type. Let's choose 2. So for the name of the DVD, we'll just say Spider-Man. And name of the film studio is Taishchen. So the age rating is 8. 12, let's say 12. So we have to enter the length, which is 90 minutes. Then we have to enter the quantity of stock. Then we have to enter the quantity of stock for this product. So let's say 5, and enter the price, which is 10 ringgit, and the item number, we'll just put 1. So now we can choose 1 to view our stock, and we can see that we have added this CD, and this is our current stock. Now let's say we want to deduct one of the CDs. So we'll choose again. So we'll just choose to deduct 3 items now. So we'll just see our inventory once again. and see now it's 7. So now we want to discontinue our product. So we'll choose number 4. So yeah, and this choose Spider-Man once again. Now we can view our inventory, and let's say we have discontinued the product. And lastly, we'll just exit. If the user wants to exit the program, they can just press 5. Let's exit. Thank you.